We'll tell you how long a man who admitted to killing a prominent Southern Kentucky lawyer will spend behind bars. A final hearing was held today for the status of a UK trauma surgeon, why he is no longer allowed to practice medicine on campus.
And the fall blast we've been talking about is here, and it feels fine out there. We're going to take a closer look at how long it lasts coming up for you.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 4.
Welcome to WKYT News at 4. I'm Amber Philpott. Jennifer has the day off. We are kicking off the coolest week of weather around here since spring. Take a look. This is a live look now of downtown from one of our drop cams where it is absolutely beautiful out there. This week we are getting a shot of fall-like weather, but how long is it going to stick around? Let's check in now with meteorologist Jim Caldwell. How about it?
It's going to be a great week. We're going to keep it all the way through the work week here with these very comfortable temperatures. Let's look at just how it compares to what we were seeing around here yesterday. In many cases, we are now pushing 5 and getting closer to 10 degrees cooler than we were at this exact same time on your Sunday. Now, notice that it hasn't made a big difference in eastern Kentucky yet. The reason is that cooler air mass hasn't really completely taken over just yet, but it's coming, and we're going to watch these numbers continue to drop as far as what we were seeing yesterday. Right now out there, we're seeing a lot of those upper 70s, mid 70s, and even low 80s are still lingering in a couple of locations. So the coolest shot of this air mass really hasn't settled in just yet, but it will be coming, especially as we go into the nighttime hours tonight. Some folks could find themselves in the upper 40s, low 50s. So the focus of the forecast as we look ahead here is this fall feel is feeling fine around here. And we'll talk about how long it sticks around and show you hour by hour coming up in just a few minutes.
Jim, thank you. The man who admitted to gunning down a well-known Southern Kentucky attorney was sent to prison today. Clinton in Abnett will serve more than 2 decades in prison for the murder of Mark Stanziano. The sentence came as the slain attorney's family made an emotional appeal before the judge. WKYT's Phil Pendleton was there and has more now from Pulaski County.
The murder happened on June 27th of last year. Clinton in Abnett was quickly arrested and charged with murder. He pleaded guilty in June of this year, and today he was sentenced to 23 years in prison. The sentence is 23 years, 20 on the murder, 3 on wanton endangerment. The sentence comes after both the prosecutor and the defense said the plea was not an ideal situation. The prosecutor says that it shows a bad health care situation, and Abnett's attorney said the case also highlights a poor mental health care industry in Kentucky.
Mr. Abnett, if he had been properly monitored like other states do on an outpatient basis, been forced into taking his medication or put in an involuntary commitment if he didn't take his medication like a lot of states do, he would have been fine. This never would have happened.
Mark Stanziano's daughter and his widow also spoke to the judge. Stanziano's widow called Abnett a monster and the epitome of evil. More on what they had to say at 5 and 6 o'clock. But for now, in Pulaski County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
In Abnett will be eligible for parole after he serves 85% of his sentence and will be on probation for 3 years after he is released. A Kentucky woman, an infant, and 2 others survived a crash that killed 3 children. State police say 32-year-old Laurie Swanson swerved to miss a car on Kentucky 56 in Davis County and crashed into a field. 8 people were in her SUV, including 6 children. 4 children ages 13, 12, 10, and 7 were thrown from the SUV.
I personally think it's dangerous, especially leaving this road and going to the main highway and having to stop. You always have to look both ways because if you don't, you cannot see traffic from either way hardly.
3 children died and the 12-year-old is in critical condition at a Louisville hospital. An infant was strapped into a car seat at the time of the accident. Swanson and her 7 passengers are all from Owensboro. A death investigation is ongoing after a Lexington mother was found dead on the side of the road. 32-year-old Jennifer Hamilton's body was found Saturday night along Muir Station Road near a veterinary clinic off Bryan Station Road. Lexington police say they are still not sure how she died. The coroner's office says until a cause of death is determined, Hamilton's death will be treated as a homicide. Hamilton's family says she is the mother of 3 children. We are working on a number of other stories for you on WKYT starting at 4:30. Sam Dick joins us now from the newsroom with a look at some of the news that's in progress. Hi, Sam.
Good afternoon, Amber. After decades of working at the University of Kentucky, a trauma surgeon can no longer practice medicine on campus. A UK healthcare committee decided to revoke Dr. Paul Kearney's medical privileges this morning. Dr. Kearney has faced allegations he is verbally abusive to patients, nurses, and students, but he says this is all an act of retaliation because he questioned the leadership of UK healthcare. At a hearing today, Dr. Kearney was told he is still a tenured faculty member, but his clinical privileges are still permanently revoked.
It's good and bad. I think it reaffirms the fact that I'm a full tenured professor, regular title series, which I earned through hard work. And at least I can come to my campus office and interact with my faculty colleagues and hopefully provide teaching for future medical students and residents, although I won't be able to do clinical practice here.
You will hear from the University of Kentucky on the situation coming up on WKYT News at 5:30. Kentucky sports radio host Matt Jones is considering a possible run for office. Jones says that members of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee asked him to consider challenging U.S. Representative Andy Barr in next year's 6th congressional district race. Jones held a discussion with fans of his KSR radio show this morning. We will hear what he had to say coming up in a report on WKYT News at 6 o'clock. Classes don't begin until Wednesday, but students on the UK campus went to work today. The 13th annual UK Fusion Day of Service is today. The event encourages students to serve in the community. Students are volunteering at various sites around Lexington. UK President Dr. Eli Capilouto and Mayor Jim Gray talked with students this morning before they headed out. Students will be rewarded for their service tonight with a carnival-themed after-party. We'll have more from Fusion Day on WKYT News at 5. And that's a look at some of the news in progress. Amber, back to you.
Sam, thank you. Now to some stories making headlines across the nation at 4. It has been another dismal day on Wall Street. The Dow plunged 1,000 points in the opening minutes following a huge drop in Chinese stocks. Stocks, though, rebounded some from the early losses, ending the day just minutes ago down about 588 points. This is just one challenge President Obama is dealing with as he returns to the White House after a vacation. Ryan Nobles reports.
As President Obama returns to the White House, plenty of work greets him on his arrival. Challenge 1, Wall Street. China's uncertain economy has led to volatility in the stock market. Monday alone, the Dow Jones Industrial lost more than 1,000 points in early trading before bouncing back. The administration argues that this blip in the markets is not a sign of a bigger problem.
The U.S. economy is far stronger now than it was in 2008.
China is not the only worry. Growing tension on the border of North and South Korea is a concern, even though both sides seem to have come to a deal. An issue for the U.S. with roughly 28,000 troops stationed in South Korea.
Nobody wants to see this come to blows on the Korean Peninsula.
But a key priority for the White House is the deal hatched with Iran. Despite the controversy, momentum could be on the administration's side, as a growing number of senators are backing the agreement. Among them, Senate Minority Leader Harry Reid. This is all against the backdrop of the election to replace him. The president could soon be in an awkward position. A Democratic source says Vice President Joe Biden is leaning toward challenging former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton in the Democratic primary.
The president has indicated his view that the decision that he made to add Joe Biden to the ticket as his running mate was the smartest decision that he had ever made in politics.
The stage set for a busy fall. In Washington, I'm Ryan Nobles reporting.
Police officers who responded to the Colorado theater shooting 3 years ago are getting a chance to talk about how that night affected them. The officers are talking in court during the final phase of sentencing for James Holmes. He will spend the rest of his life in prison after being convicted earlier this month of 12 counts of murder. Just as a formality, the judge also must sentence Holmes on 141 other counts that include attempted murder and explosives charges. The French president says 4 men who tackled an attacker on a high-speed train headed to Paris last Friday have given a lesson in courage, in will, and thus in hope. Americans Spencer Stone, Anthony Sadler, National Guardsman Alex Scarlatos, and a British man, Chris Norman, were presented with the Legion of Honor, France's highest honor. France's president says because of their actions, quote, veritable carnage was avoided.
Keep up with the latest news on WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
As we told you earlier, U.S. markets plunged again this morning following a huge drop in Chinese stocks. The Dow ended the day down 588 points, the Nasdaq down about 179 points, and the S&P 500 down 77. Fears of China's economic slowdown have fueled a shaky few days on Wall Street. Last week was the worst session in 4 years and the market's worst week since 2011. Apple is recalling a batch of iPhones over a defect that causes them to take blurry pictures. The problem is with the EyeSight camera on certain iPhone 6 Plus smartphones. Phones sold between September of 2014 and January of 2015 are affected. Customers can have the cameras replaced for free at Apple stores, authorized service providers, or by contacting technical support. Another factor in the market sell-off is the plunging price of oil. Prices fell below $40 a barrel for the first time since 2009. The silver lining to that is cheaper gas prices. AAA says the national average is now about $2.60 a gallon. That's almost $1 less than last year at this time. If oil prices remain low, AAA predicts prices at the pump could dip below the $2 a gallon mark by the end of the year. Video games are big business, but it is not just playing games that fans are interested in. Video gaming has now become a spectator sport. As Brian Webb reports, it's becoming one of the biggest sports in the world.
Madison Square Garden is home to the New York Knicks. But at this championship, there's no ball and no basket. Instead, the sold-out crowd is cheering for 10 guys sitting in front of computers. This is the League of Legends video game North American Championship, with Team Solo Mid taking on Counter Logic Gaming for the Summoner Cup. The fans are passionate and even dress up as game characters.
There's no better way to appreciate a character you play all the time than to be that character for a day.
Millions more watch the broadcast at home with announcers and highlights.
Their last ounce in this fight.
There are major sponsors like Coke, and the players are celebrities. Yilian Pang, better known by his screen name Double Lift, plays for Counter Logic.
How much practice do you put in?
10 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day.
There are more than a dozen other video games that are played on the professional level.
The top pro earners are making, close to $1 million.
Dustin Beck is with Riot Games, which makes League of Legends. His company says 27 million people watched the 2014 World Championship match, almost double the average audience for last year's World Series.
And now taking down Team Solo Mid at Madison Square Garden.
After almost 3 hours, Counter Logic came out on top. They now head to the World Championship. Brian Webb for CBS News, New York.
The League of Legends North American Championship was streamed on a website called Twitch, where fans can watch and broadcast their own video game play. Last year, the site was bought by Amazon for nearly $1 billion. All right, thanks so much. Beautiful afternoon to be out and about for sure.
I want to be there.
Absolutely. It's known as a sultry summer night of blues, barbecue, burgers, and brats down on the river. We're talking about the Capital City Blues Festival.
Maybe not so sultry this time, though. Our Deanne Stevens is in the capital city of Frankfurt today with more. Hey, Deanne.
Good afternoon, guys. We are here at Ward Oates Amphitheater in Frankfurt, where they are preparing for a fun event happening right here this weekend. It is on Saturday. Capital City Blues. Ann Morris with us. And what is Capital City Blues all about?
Oh, it's all about fun and raising funds for a very, very worthy cause. In front of you, you see our silent auction. Frankfurt is so good, and we're also getting wonderful things from Lexington, too. But we hope that everybody comes out and makes wonderful bids on some of the wonderful things that we have in front of us here.
So you guys have a lot of music for the Capital City Blues, obviously.
Yeah, we
right?
have blues music. We have 2 bands, Catfish Alley, which is a new group that come together just for us, and then we have the other group, Toad Strangler. They're coming in from Bowling Green. They got rained out last year, but that's not going to happen this year. Everybody, fingers crossed, prayers up. And then this place will be filled with tables, filled with people out to eat and enjoy and just have a wonderful, wonderful time.
Sounds like a great event. Samuel Dom is with us from Family Abuse Services. It's where the money is going. Talk about what you guys do for families here in Kentucky.
Okay, well, we operate the only domestic violence safe house here in Franklin County, and we recently purchased a larger building. So this is our annual main fundraiser, and all the funds and proceeds go to operate that and to help all the families in need, not just your typical domestic violence, what most people think of, but we assist all types of family abuse circumstances. And we've been here for about 20 years, or a little over 20 years, and we're just trying to provide the services here in this town to help abuse situations.
And you could use some funds to help with that, it sounds like.
Absolutely.
Here's what you can do. Come on out this weekend to the Capital City Blues here in Frankfort. You can bid on some fabulous silent auction items as you see here, and listen to some great music, which we're going to let you do. Coming up at 4:50, it's Catfish Alley, right? Catfish Alley is going to perform for us at 4:50 today. I'm Deanne Stevens, out and about. Back to you guys.
It is time now for better living, health, education, and consumer news that impacts your life. Researchers at Georgia State University report heterosexual couples who split up child care duties have higher quality relationships and better sex lives. The study tracked some 500 couples and did not include same-sex partners. Pediatricians may be using fewer CT scans on sick children. Researchers at Cincinnati Children's Hospital found between 2004 and 2012, imaging techniques like MRIs and ultrasounds were up and CT scans were down. The authors of the study say concerns about possible cancer risk may be why. British researchers found 1 in 5 older people who drink alcohol are overdoing it. Doctors tracked more than 27,000 people over the age of 65. They say the wealthier and better educated the seniors, the more likely they were to drink too much. 9 pints of beer per week for men or 2 bottles of wine for women was considered pushing safe limits. Target is going gourmet. Starting in October, the retail chain will test a new cafe concept in about 14 of their stores. The fast casual chain Freshie, Pizza Hut, and D'Amico & Sons will replace Target's hot dogs and nacho offerings. Target says customers told them they want higher quality food options while they shop.